Let's move on to the NFC East. Who is going to win the NFC East in 2021? This might surprise some people. I have the New York Giants winning the NFC East division. I believe the Giants are going to go 10-7 this year. I actually have Dallas as a 10-7 team as well. I have Washington, who was a playoff team in 2020. I have Washington finishing the division, finishing third in the division with a 9-8 record, and I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will come in last place with a 6-11 record in a 17-game season. So let's start with the Giants. I'm higher on the Giants than most people out there. This was a team last year that improved tremendously under head coach Joe Judge, and not to mention they could have won the division last season had Philadelphia beaten Washington in Week 17. Okay, but that obviously didn't happen. But I believe the Giants are going to be a playoff team, mainly for three reasons. They had a great offseason where they added talent to the offense to help out their young quarterback, Daniel Jones. Okay, and not to mention, I believe in Joe Judge, and I believe in that defense. Okay, and not to mention, the Giants, because they finished in second place in the NFC East last year, they get a second place schedule. Whereas a team like Washington that finished first in the division, they get a first place schedule. So I think the Giants will feast off of a second place schedule. You have Saquon Barkley coming back this year, who is an elite running back when he's on the field and healthy. I think he's going to have a monstrous season. You added Kenny Galladay to that wide receiver core. The Giants desperately needed a number one wide receiver. And Kenny Galladay is definitely going to provide the Giants with very high quality wide receiver play. You obviously have Darius Slayton. Kadarius Toney's a player to watch for that you drafted in the first round. He's a wide receiver that's pretty dynamic. Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard are pretty good. Like Daniel Jones has weapons to throw to. There are no more excuses for Daniel Jones. And look, I'm not the biggest Daniel Jones fan. I don't think that he's proven to be a franchise quarterback, at least up to this point. I think Daniel Jones is not all that great, but like I said, all Daniel Jones has to do is manage the game and not make mistakes. I think in his third season, he'll be pretty steady, because he has the weapons to throw to. Saquon Barkley comes back, and when Saquon Barkley has been in the lineup, Daniel Jones' touchdown to interception ratio is not great, but it's good. So when Saquon Barkley has played and when Daniel Jones has had time to throw, and things like that, he's been decent. He's been okay. So I think that he'll do just enough to get the job done. I think the Giants' offensive line is going to be better than most people realize. They have some good young players I like, and that defense improved tremendously last year. That secondary is airtight, led by James Bradbury. Jabril Peppers is a real player. They have some players on their defensive line. I think that the Giants will surprise a lot of people and win the division in 2021 in the NFC East. I think Dallas is going to be a 10-win team this year. I have the Giants only getting the tiebreaker over the Cowboys this year due to head-to-head matchups and things like that. But Dallas, I think that they have some talent on the roster. Dak Prescott comes back this year. Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, a pretty solid offensive line. Like, Dallas has star players on offense. But the biggest question for Dallas is, can Mike McCarthy get the most out of the talent on the roster? And also, how improved is Dallas's defense going to be? I don't trust Mike McCarthy, and I don't trust that defense. So as a result, I think the Giants are the most complete team in this division. I have them finishing ahead of the Cowboys this year in 2021. And Washington, if Washington had a top 15-ish quarterback, they could easily win anywhere from 10 to 13 games because this roster is loaded. I think this defense is going to be the best defense in the NFL. However, I have serious questions at the quarterback position. We don't know what Taylor Heineke is if he gets playing time this year. Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to start week 1, and history shows that Ryan Fitzpatrick will have his moments, as a starting quarterback, but he'll also play really, really bad at times. So I don't think that Ryan Fitzpatrick is consistent enough to get through a 17-game season. I think Washington has weapons for him to throw to and things like that, but I just don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick and their quarterback situation. But I think Washington deserves the benefit of the doubt to have a winning season because of Ron Rivera being their head coach, because of that defense. And also, Washington is going to have to show me they can handle expectations. Because last year, a big reason why I picked them to win 7 games, they won 7 games, was because they flew under the radar. But now we're going to see if Washington is legit because they have to play the Chargers. They have to play at the Buffalo Bills. They play the Saints. They play the Chiefs. They play the Packers. They play at the Denver Broncos. They'll face Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a Super Bowl caliber team. They'll face the Seahawks, not to mention you play the Giants and the Cowboys. That schedule is rough, so we'll see what Washington does, but I have them winning 9 games. The Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are definitely in a rebuilding stage. However, I do think Jalen Hurts is better than people realize. I think Jalen Hurts has a chance to be a franchise quarterback, so I think he'll provide them with decent quarterback play. I think Devontae Smith is a real player. Philadelphia's wide receiver core has some young players that I actually like, but it's all about if Nick Sirianni can get the most out of that talent. But I will say this is a bottom 5 roster from a talent perspective. Now, I will say I have Philadelphia winning 6 games because I do think their offensive line, when healthy, is an above-average unit. And I do believe their defensive line, when healthy, is an above-average unit. So I think that, honestly, Philadelphia, they have a better roster than people realize, but this is still a rebuilding team. They will finish last in the division in 2021. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big-time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God-blessed day, and I'm out.